Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30, and I'm going to call to order the workshop of the Victoria City Council. Our workshops are informal, so we'll dive right into our agenda. We have one item on the workshop agenda this evening, which is to conduct interviews for our senior advisory and our park and rec committees. Council, it was noted that there are several applicants who are traveling and unable to attend this evening, but would still like to be considered. As in years past, we've waived interviews for incumbents as through their term, we're familiar with their level of participation and attendance. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tongue twister for me. Additionally, all applications were routed to council in advance of the workshop this evening. So before we move on to interviews, are there any questions or points of discussion from my council colleagues?
Nope.
All right, we're all set. All right, we're going to start with our senior advisory committee applicants. So at this time, I'm going to invite our senior advisory committee applicants, Elena, good, and David. Why don't you guys come on up here to, just grab a seat there. This is pretty informal, so make yourselves comfortable. I think what we'll do is, we'll start with Elena, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go to David, and then we'll have a couple of questions, and then very simple, very easy.
Okay. Alina Pasquarelli. I've owned my home here in Victoria for 10 years this year. And I love our little community very much, now that it's growing. Leaps and bounds. I have specialized in senior resources my entire career. When I moved into town, the first thing I did was build a mother-in-law suite in my home for my mother so we could have multi-generational housing. And my oldest is in college now. My youngest just started driving. So I finally have time to give back. And so I was hoping that I could provide some benefit to our senior advisory.
Beautiful, thank you so much.
Yep.
David, please.
Yeah, hi, Dave Kleinfelter. I've lived in Victoria for about 10 years too. I've actually been on the senior advisory committee since it was reconstituted a couple years ago.
Okay.
And so maybe there was a wire cross or something about repeats or incumbents. But I'm glad to be here and visit with you folks. I've enjoyed the time I've served on the committee, learned a lot about the city, which was helpful for me, and impressed with the variety of issues and the complexity of the organization, actually. I was misinterpreted how a small city like this would operate, and so I've learned a lot about that. And we've done a couple of interesting things with developing the resource manual for senior citizen activities, and we're working on a project that's near and dear to my heart now, which is mapping out trails and making the trails more accessible, or information about the trails more accessible. So looking forward to continuing, if you folks would like to have me do that. I think there's lots of opportunity and a growing need for senior citizen resources and expertise on the committee, and opportunities to kind of develop the programs available here in the city. So
Terrific.
Hopefully we can do that.
Terrific. Well, my apologies to you, sir, that
Yeah.
you've already been serving and you've done great work so far. We've had a really, have been so impressed with our committees and the work that they've been able to do, and that awesome project on the trails is a great example. So we have a couple of questions. So I'm going to ask my council colleagues to ask questions for each of you, and you'll have an opportunity to answer before we move on to the next question. Councilmember Evansky, can I ask you to please begin? And we'll give you guys 2 minutes or so to answer the questions, so we can just kind of keep things moving along. Ms. Swanson will keep track for us here on timing, and if she gives you the hook, go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll move on to the next question. So Councilmember Evansky, you want to kick us off, please?
Sure. I know I'm going to go by alphabetical order by first name. So, Alina, if we would mind sharing with us what motivated you to apply for this position on the Senior Advisory Board, and what specific contributions do you think you can bring to the committee?
Great questions. So I was raised in a family that incorporated our grandparents and our older family members and cherished those relationships and realized how valuable they are to my family, my children, our neighbors. And so now that I have the time to give back, because I do, I'd really like to see if I can be helpful with, making a robust community for our senior citizens that can thrive in, not just survive. I noticed our census demographics, we have a pretty low senior citizen community in this area, but we also have a higher concentration of Vietnam veterans than the national average. I'd love to see us focus on that community and see how we can help. Affordable housing is definitely something on my mind. I've been in the real estate finance community for 30 years and focused specifically on reverse mortgage clientele who are all 62 and older. I know what kind of housing, they want and need, especially these boomers these days are more like 40-year-olds than 70-year-olds, and they want activities and, a place that they can move through that next chapter in. That also incorporates space for their families to visit. So and my mother just moved back in with me after a stint in the hospital, and she had been in the waters in Excelsior for quite some time and had access to all those amenities, bingo and cribbage and puzzle clubs and book clubs and things. And so I've been incorporating her into our community again this last year, and she's at the library all the time and at the rec center all the time, but I think we could do more. So.
Great, excellent. Thanks for that response. And then, Dave, how about we have you address the same question? Would you like me to read it to you again, or do you?
Yeah, I'll pick up on what Elena said but focus just a little bit on the question of housing. One of the reasons why I want to be on the committee is because I got to be a senior citizen, and I've seen problems that friends and relatives have had, especially when it gets to the time to decide about where they're going to live, when they can't live in their home any longer. And having options is really, really helpful for those people. Most people would like to stay in their home, or they would at least like to stay in their community. So what options are available here in Victoria? I think it would be nice if we had more and a variety of options available for people. Connected with that is help on making a decision. I've seen several good friends make really bad decisions around that issue. And it would be nice if we could develop some resources, some classes, some other activities that would help people prepare to make that decision a little bit better. So that's a specific thing I'd like to work on.
Thank you. I think that
Yeah.
those are some very admirable goals. So appreciate it.
Councilmember Roberts, you want to tee up a question?
Sure. I'm gonna go off script. What do you see that we are doing well for seniors, and what do you see that we can work on? Right. So I think those are two important things. What things? And I know you guys kind of touched on a little bit of what we can work on, but what do you see as us doing well already for seniors, and what can we work on? And David, we can start with you.
Sure. I was amazed when we put the resource guide together, how many resources are available, for seniors within the county or within this area. It's not just Victoria specifically. Helping people understand that all those things are there would be number one. And I think that one of the things that we do really well, although the Senior Citizen Committee can't take credit for that, is recreational activities. The new pickleball courts, I play pickleball a couple times a week, even in the winter here up at the gym. Those are great activities for seniors, and it would be nice if we could piggyback on that, I think.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, good.
What he said. I think it's amazing, the activities that are available in our community thus far, and I think that the resource page is amazing. I send anybody in the area who's asking for resources there, because I don't think I would add a whole lot of links to it, to be honest with you. You've kind of touched on them all. But I think, like you said, there's probably more things that we could offer for education. You know, I do network with, you know, senior real estate specialists, you know, realtors in the area, elder law attorneys, financial planners, and I think we could pull those, I could pretty easily pull them together to help with a lot of the decision-making and the process. I do know that it's interesting anytime, or often when I'm talking to clients, they'll say, oh, you live in Victoria, you know, and everyone does that, like, oh, right? like Mayberry, you live in Mayberry. And they'll be like, you know, my grandkids live there, and I wish I could move closer. I just wish there was somewhere, you know, that would be right for us. So I'm excited to maybe be part of those conversations and help out. The other thing is, lastly, sorry to take up time. So I deliver for Humanitarian Alliance, right? And most of the clientele is in Chaska and Waconia. I would like to see healthy meals available, and it doesn't necessarily have to, it could be from one of our local restaurants available for delivery. Because I do see, just with my mother who left the Waters, which is kind of like a resort, she really loved like her fresh salads and soups every day. I mean, every day. And she could get that easily and didn't have to drive somewhere or order it in. So I would like to maybe work with some of our local restaurants to see what they could help us out with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guess who's up?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm going to go off script a little bit as
Yeah,
well.
please.
Just a general question on, from a senior perspective, getting out from an awareness perspective to other seniors in the community. What one or two creative ideas do you have to reach out to that community from an awareness standpoint so that these folks understand what's going on? Sometimes we find that they may not know what's going on or be aware of it. So I don't know who started last. Who had the last question first?
David,
You?
start.
Oh, yeah. He's
Dave?
the first, yeah.
So we'll go with Elena this time.
Yeah, sure.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll take it, Andy. You know, that's the hardest question, I think. We struggle with that on the committee. How do you get people to know what's going on? Do you post it on the various sites? Do you on the city website and so forth? Do you do mailings? We started adding a little blurb in like the rec center activities where these are senior citizen designated activities, so at least draws attention to it. Or we don't call them senior citizens, it's 55 plus, right, that we're supposed to use that language. I don't have any great ideas, anything besides what we've already tried and what's going on to do that. You know, having people in the churches that are maybe designated kind of communication folks could be helpful. We could have a network of people like that. But again, a lot of this falls, the biggest issue, I think, is staff time. Those are all great ideas. We've had several great ideas, but it all falls on Alyssa to do the work. One of my big concerns, truthfully, is that we need more staff focused on senior citizen activities. It's a growing part of the population. It's going to keep getting bigger, not smaller. When you look at the cities around us that we're going to catch up to pretty quickly in population, they already have full-time senior citizen directors and facilities and things like this. So I think part of the challenge looking down the road is being kind of prepared and getting ready, figuring out how to add the staff that would provide some of those activities.
Thank you. No, that's good. That's good.
That's good. Yes, great question. I can tell you that in my job, technology is oftentimes a real issue with my clients. And so the typical, way of communicating with the public sometimes is not easiest for seniors. But I have found that getting the information out about senior, access to things to the general public can actually lead to more education with the seniors, because everyone has parents, a neighbor, somebody who might benefit from those things. So I can say that a lot of people read Nextdoor. That's why I'm here, to be honest with you. I didn't realize that we had this opportunity. And that might be a really great way, and maybe Facebook too, I don't know, but just to have the general population understand that these services are available and there's fun things coming up. I agree with the faith communities. That's a great trusted place for seniors to get reliable information, but also from their other trusted professionals, right? Local CPAs who know families, who know seniors, who know what their needs are, and things like that. So that might be some ideas that we could help network.
That's, you guys both provided creative answers. That's what I was
Okay.
getting at. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't think I have any further questions. You guys did a beautiful job. You come with great ideas and good energy. So I think at this point in time, we'll want to say thank you very much. Go ahead and have a seat. And then we will make our final appointments at our regular council meeting this evening at 6:30. Oh,
On March 11th.
on March 11th, I'm sorry. I'm reading my notes here. That gives me all that information.
Sorry.
We're going to make these official appointments on March 11th, and after we've had an opportunity to also interview planning commission applicants. So we have several different committees. We interview all the people. We announce it all at one time and at a council meeting. So, council, is there any, I asked you to sit down already, but is there anything else you want to ask these applicants?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that it's probably fair to say that we're in that enviable position that we always are, in that we have great members of our community that want to serve the city that they live in, and they're showing up and they're raising their hands and making their voices heard, and they've got good messages. And like we've always been fortunate to have strong hands to be able to carry this load.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to making our appointments.
Yeah, these are very important jobs for us. We rely heavily on our committees and our commissions to provide the input. You guys are feet on the ground, and we rely heavily on your recommendations as we make decisions. So we appreciate the time and the work. So thanks. Anything else from council? All right, with that, let's move on to the Park and Rec Committee, and we'll have Jake and Cam come on up and take a seat. We also sincerely appreciate your interest in serving our community. We're going to go through the same process. I'm going to start with Councilmember Reif this time. Alyssa, yeah, Alyssa.
Do you want to do introductions first?
Thank you for that. So let's do that before we start asking questions. Cam, why don't you go first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Cam Wright. I'm 8875 Wedgemere Drive in Deer Run. My wife and I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old. We started in Lake Bridge, and 2 years ago moved into Deer Run. And absolutely love Victoria since the day we moved here. That's exactly why I'm here. And we'll get into that, but I'm a former golf professional. We moved back from Los Angeles in 2013, and then I started my real estate business. And here we are. I'm heavily involved I'm at the hockey rink 5 days a week. Both kids play. I coach baseball, and I am a man about town. I am kind of all over the place. I've been to every park, every trail, as you can imagine with that age kid. So, like you said, I am boots on the ground for sure. So, thank you.
Awesome, terrific. Jake?
Hi, Jacob Paul, 2665 Northview Drive in Rhapsody. And Hannah and I moved there last year, about a year ago. Hannah grew up in Victoria, and I was born in Minnesota, but lived kind of all around the country and came back a few years ago. We really love it here. We love the parks and the trails. Had a great time getting out last summer and are excited to get out again. And so, yeah, I was interested in kind of looking for a way to participate in the community and give back some of my time and energy. I know Victoria's growing a lot, and I'm interested in helping kind of shepherd that along.
Good. I'm going to put you on hold for just a minute. I want to talk to Hannah for a second. Where'd you grow up, Hannah? Which neighborhood? I grew up in Deer Run. Oh, very good. Welcome back. It all comes full circle, doesn't it? It all comes full circle. It's great. All right, very good. Councilmember Reif, will you kick us off with questioning, please?
Yes, definitely. And let's start with Jacob. What is, if you think of City of Lakes and Parks, what does that, define that for me or for us?
I kind of see it as, that's like leading with the outdoor access that's, I think, one of the major benefits of Victoria is that kind of wherever you live, you have easy access to trails and parks. You can get out in nature from your house very easily, which I think, for me at least, is like a major selling point of the community and something we were very interested in.
Excellent, thank you. Cam?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think when you think of Victoria and the lakes and parks, it's, you know, it's go down 11, those incredible parks there, within neighborhoods, the trails, the lakes, the ponds, the parks, that's exactly it. I mean, you can get around on all these trails, and I know our friend that was here before is trying to connect more of them. I know living in Lake Bridge, we felt a little disconnected from the rest of the community, but you know, we found a way to make that happen. But now in Deer Run, we are fully connected by cart paths and trails. So no, I think it, like Jake said, like truly is an amazing selling point of this community, of how much of that green space we have. Yeah, I mean, it's truly incredible. It really is. We're very, very lucky. That's why we're here to protect it, right?
Thank you. Councilmember Roberts.
Of course.
Tee up.
So when we talk about parks, right, it's not just the parks, but we, as we said, right, it's our trails, it's the programming for our different parks and all that stuff. So when you look at kind of the grand picture or the big picture, can you talk a little bit about, again, kind of what I asked the previous group, right, like what we're doing well already, and what you think we could work on, you know, or do better, right? Whether that's programming, whether it's connecting trails, right? But what do you see that we can do better? So, and we'll start with Jacob this time.
Sure. Yeah, I think I've been very impressed with the parks and the facilities, and I know like the new pickleball courts and things. It seems like there's a lot of resources and investment in facilities, which has been great. We're actually hosting our reception at Lions Park Pavilion in August.
Nice.
So we're very excited to have that right here and be able to bring everybody. Something that I think we could do better, maybe, I've noticed there's a lot of talk about connecting different trails and kind of figuring out, like, as a new member of the community, I think one thing that I struggled with is like where the trails even are and how to find them. So like wayfinding or just maps, giving people ideas of routes they can take, and activities they can do on the trails, I feel like could be improved.
I like that the activities are what this leads to, or what you'll possibly come upon once you take X trail to X location to find this. I think the trail system is amazing. All that is great. I think for me, really wanting to be a part of this committee in this community is, I want to bring the vision of the community to these parks. And when I say parks, we're not talking about Carver Park and Lowry Park. We're talking about like the Lions Park and the neighborhood parks and these different parks. I know, you know, our main park, I would say, is the Lions Park, right? I mean, it's the center of the community. I think we need vision there. I think the vision needs a complete refresh, and I think it has to include the members of the community. There's so many kids in this community now that is unbelievable. The numbers it's astounding. Between children and dogs. There's a lot of dogs as well. There's a lot of dogs in Lake Bridge, for sure. There's like 2 dogs a house. But no, it's the vision. I want to bring the vision of the community to the center of that town. That's the Lions Park. And I think, once again, I don't want to step on anybody that's worked on a project that I don't even know about. I just want to talk about the vision of the future. Just talking to a neighbor today as I was walking down to our park in Deer Run with my 4-year-old, and she said, man, yeah, we're gonna go do this, but we have to go to Chanhassen, or we have to go to Waconia, or we don't ever go to the Victoria Rec Center. We go to the Chanhassen Rec Center, or we go to the Waconia Rec Center, or the Chaska Rec Center. you know, for swimming or pool or different activities that I think really bring the community together. I also do a lot of sports with the kids. I hate leaving Victoria to play for another community like Chanhassen. I'd love to beat Chanhassen as a Victoria Laker Little League type of scenario as well. It's fun to play in Chan, but I don't live in Chan. I want to play for like I grew up playing for Mound. There's a lot of pride that goes for that when you're up playing against another community and you beat Orno, or we beat Chanhassen, or we beat Waconia. As a kid, that's cool. I still think about those times. So just some ideas from the community about how to keep people here in the center of our community and not lose them to Waconia or Chanhassen or other places, Chaska Community Center, because eventually that could be a loss of a resident at some point too, and we don't want that either. We want people to stay here, shop here, be here, go to our restaurants, use our parks, use our trails. So when people have to leave, that's kind of a, you know, there's a dent in the armor there, I think, a little bit. And I think with the vision of the community, where all these little kids are, I think we could come up with some awesome stuff to make sure people are using our community center and our parks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. Councilmember Evansky?
Sure, thank you. We've kind of taken things a bit out of order, so I'll bring us back to you. Give me an idea of what your ideal park is.
It's kind of, I'll touch like what I went back to. It's the center of town. It's the baseball fields, the softball fields, the awesome skating rink in the winter with the warming house, with the concessions where people are skating under the lights and the kids are up there. And, you know, you can have a food truck slot where it draws people to the park. A refreshed slide, and I know the one up there, it's a little janky now, and it's like, hey, don't go over there. There's like rusty metal on that part of the slide. I've been going to that Lions Park slide now since 2013 or 2017. How old is Beckham? 2017, and it's a little scary. It's kind of like unplayable. Mine would be a playable playground, but more so, like I said, it's the heart and soul of the community. I would want to see more activity up there than just a softball tournament or a VIX game. I would want people to be up there ice skating, maybe food truck lane. The tennis court it's okay. The hockey rink is unusable. I would want to refresh stuff like that so they are usable and people want to be there to hang out with their neighbors and in the community for sure.
Okay, so I kind of hear you that we have good elements, we just need to,
We need a little vision to push into the future.
a little more butter in
Update.
Alfredo, in our Alfredo
A little
sauce, right?
bit, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, by using the community's ideas though. Not just my ideas, but the people that also live here.
Sounds good. And then, how about you take a stab at that same question? What-
Sure.
If you said
Yeah.
I could, you know, this is my ideal park, what does it look, feel?
I think, you know, in addition to the facilities and amenities for activities, I think one thing that I've always been drawn to in parks and the places where I've lived is like big open spaces where people like to go and have a picnic or hang out, or there's music events planned, or sometimes movie nights, things like that. I think that type of park where it's not only a place to be active, but also like spend time in, you know, around trees and like around the other people in the community is kind of what I would describe as my ideal.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Of course.
All right, I got one final question here. What are your interests and passions related to Parks and Rec, and how would you bring that to the committee? Let's start with you, Jacob.
Well, I think one of the reasons I'm interested in the position, I spent some time in city government in Austin, Texas, which is obviously a much larger city. And I was a tiny cog in that machine. But during that time, I did come to appreciate just kind of how big of an impact local government can have on people's lives. And I think here, you know, being the city of parks and lakes, the parks and trails and things are a major component of the impact that the city has on people's lives. And so I'm interested and passionate about kind of giving back through that.
Great, thanks.
Question again, please?
What are your interests and passions related to Parks and Recreation, and how would you bring that to the community?
Mine's all about the kids, all the kids in the community for sure. I continue to talk about it. I want to make sure there's a vision leading forward and we don't just get stuck and do something for now. Because I don't think it's a good use of funds to just do something and do something for the now. It needs to have a vision for the future on what the plan is, step A, B, C, D, and roll things out in phases, and also a space in parks and everything for everybody in the community, not just for kids, but for everybody. But I think everything has to come from a real vision of looking down the road and not just a quick fix for now because it looks good and it's a refresh. It needs to have a vision behind it, once again, with the voice of the community, not just a committee member and a city council. The voice of the committee, or the voice of the committee should be the community. So that's my,
One thing that we've talked about a lot on the council is how can we make a better experience for people? How can they better experience our parks? And we've grasped at a lot of different things that way, and we're gonna put aside a budget for right now. Money is no issue. What are some of the ideas or some things that you have experienced in parks in other places that you think we should bring here to Victoria? Cam, go
I
ahead.
think a pool for sure.
Okay,
I think communities love pools. Communities thrive on pools. Pools are a big draw, a big part of a community. Clearly, indoor pool is great. I think a water feature outside would be cool, like the splash pad. I think, once again, it's another element to bring people to that space. I mean, that really cool little river walk area down in by the curling center with that concession stand, the splash pad. You know, they have the pond and stuff there, the reservoir. But just that splash pad, the concession stand in that park as a trio, it's really awesome. Grab a snack, grab a popsicle, get in the water on a hot day. You know, we don't live on the lake, so it's cool to have a spot to go. I think the indoor pool is huge. I think there's the space for it. Once again, budgets aside, but I think it's a big, big deal. The Chaska pool is a big deal. That Waconia pool is a big deal. I'm not on their committees, but they could use a refresh, but they have it. They get used a lot. It's a huge draw. Yeah, I mean, I really do. I think the community would really, really like a pool and an outdoor cool space like that river. You know, that's like something to go talk to the people about down there, but it's a really cool little triangle with the park and the splash pad and the concession stand all right together. It's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes for a fun day.
Jacob, same question to you.
Sure. Events, I think, are a great way to invite people to parks and to places they might not otherwise go. I mentioned before, like live music, movie nights, especially in the summer. I think, you know, craft fairs or art fairs, things like that. For trails, I think like group bike rides or group hikes, different types of like events where people feel like welcome to come and explore and meet some other people in the community, I think could help.
Don't forget you had no budget. I agree with that too.
So we
We had no
can put all the
budget,
money
though.
towards
Yeah,
the pool.
The pool. We spent it all on the pool.
I know. I wish pools
Awesome.
were free.
You're
I do.
awesome. I know,
I do.
it's awesome.
All right. Council, any final questions for these two applicants, candidates? Very good. Y'all did a great job. Thanks so much for.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
everything.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Again, we're going to make our official appointments on March 11th. We invite you to attend that meeting if you'd like to. And with that, there are no other agenda items to come before the body this evening, so we will adjourn our workshop. Thank you again for joining us, and we will reconvene for our city council meeting at 6:30. Thanks.